So thank you everyone again for joining us. Our presentation today, which is part 2 of our Transition and Adult Training Series, is Creating Independent Teens and Adults, Introducing Life Skills at Home. So I think with everything that's going on right now, most of our families are at home, so we really want to take advantage of this time. So for this training, we're really going to focus on identifying and planning which life skills to target, because there are a lot of different life skills. We're also going to introduce visual schedules and task analysis in order to help you teach these life skills. And then we're going to review how to teach and provide support to lead to success. So really, I want to share the message is that we're building these skills together. So it's not just on the parent or caregiver, and it's not just on the teen or adult, but it is a collaboration. We're going to be working together. So I like this 4-step process. So we have an idea, we're going to plan, have the strategies, and then we want to lead to success. So we're going to begin with the idea. So I like to start off with this quote from Stephen Shore, who is an adult with autism, or an autistic adult. And he said, if you met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So we're going to be reviewing lots of visuals and different strategies, but do keep in mind that everything does have to be individualized. And it's okay if you have to go through some trial and error to find out what's the best support or strategy for your loved one and your family. So we're talking about life skills, but what are they? So the World Health Organization defined life skills as the ability for adaptive and positive behavior that enables individuals to deal effectively with the demands and challenges of everyday life. I think right now, with what we're all facing, our life skills are being tested. So for life skills, they're also known as community skills, daily living skills, adaptive behavior, independent living skills, functional academics. For those of you that have a loved one who is in school and has an IEP, you may see this written into the IEP as a skill we need to work in school, but also at home. So what are the benefits? Why do we need life skills? So I think most importantly is to increase safety. Our population is known to be vulnerable, so we really want to give them the skills in order to protect themselves and to be able to use and ask for help and really make sure that they understand what's going on around them. Also to improve self-esteem and self-confidence. I always look back at when I was learning these life skills at home and watching my mom and watching my dad, and just how proud I felt of myself when I started learning and achieving these life skills, especially the shock when I moved away from home and into my own apartment, how much I did know, but stuff that I still needed to work on. We do want to strive for the individual to be independent as possible. And independence looks different for everyone. So we really want to see what the individual knows right now, and then what can we consider as goals for the next step. We also want to make sure they're able to cope to different and new environments. So we have some life skills that also focus on emotional regulation, as well as understanding safety, making sure that we're increasing some social opportunities or ability to be more interactive in the community. And we know that we need these across the lifespan. We also need to understand the creation of dependency. So I myself have done this a lot without realizing with my brother. So I've become his primary caregiver, and I have done a lot of these things, and sometimes I have to take a step back myself, even after all this time helping him, to realize this is what I'm doing. So how do we create this dependency? Sometimes it happens if we're answering questions for the teen or adult without allowing them a chance. So it's jumping in, whether if it's answering questions or just jumping in for a task to save time. And this creates a history. So the more that we do this, that teen or adult will get used to that action of a parent or a caregiver jumping in. So sometimes we see this when we meet with families in our card offices, and I'm a case manager for our teens or adults, and I will ask the teen or adult a direct question, something as simple as, what are the things you like to do in your free time? And immediately they turn to their parent or caregiver. So sometimes they get used to that pattern. So what we want to do is break that pattern and give them the chance. Sometimes it just looks as non-compliance or refusal to do a task, because in the past, mom or dad or a sibling or a loved one has done it for me. Or they're just waiting for you to complete the task because they know in the past you've nagged, and then you just did it for them. So one big step is realizing this dependency, and that now we're going to start to change it. So in order to do that, we need to see what our loved one can do when they're completely on their own. So I like to do this as conducting a trial, and I did this process with my brother as well, because there were certain skills that I thought he could do completely on his own without me realizing all the support that I did. So you want to identify a skill that you think currently your teen or adult can do independently. So the way to start is you can just ask them to do a task within a time period, because you want to see if they're able to do it on their own. So I use the example of wash the dishes and you have 15 minutes to do it. So you would state the task and then give them some time. After you do that, I suggest that you step out of the space. So if they're in the kitchen doing that task, or in the living room or the room, step out of the space and don't offer any assistance. You want to make sure we don't nag or remind them to do the task. This is really going to show us what right now can my teen or adult do. So you can also make notes. Do they initiate the task on themselves? Are they asking for help or searching for help? Are they getting distracted? Are they engaging in any maladaptive behavior? Do they complete the task? So we use this almost like a baseline to see where I can start with this task. When I did this for my brother, I realized how much I walk into this space and remind him over and over again to do the task. And he got used to that. So when I gave him a task to do, he would sort of sit there until I came back in the room and reminded him again. So these were behaviors that I was noticing that I was doing that was affecting him. So now that we have an idea of what life skills is, and then what sort of a baseline, we're going to go into planning. So we know what all the different types of life skills, but what should we consider teaching? So I mentioned safety. Definitely, I think, should be the top of the list. Anything having to do with health, even as simple as taking some medication, taking vitamins, using any medical equipment that they need, personal care. We have a whole list of different life skills. So we found this life skills by age, and I want you just to see this as a guideline. So don't get overwhelmed that this is a checklist that you need to get done and you're behind. I just want you to see this as a reference. And most importantly, I want you to see that under age 4 to 5, we are addressing that safety. So can they state their full name, their address, their phone number? Can they make an emergency call? When I started this process with my brother, he already had a debit card and he wanted to share that number with everyone. That's not safe. So we really had to role play practice. I had to do some visuals and talking about confidential information. So just to see the progress of these skills. So a lot of safety, we see some self-care, making meals. Then as we're going into the preteen, teen years, really we see more of those chores, helping out at home, making grocery lists. And we will send this all to you so that you have it. And then in the 16 to 18 range, really talking about making those meals, doing different activities, helping around at the house, using cab services, so talking about transportation, basics of insurance. So all of these skills are on a wide range. So again, just looking at this like a guide as all the different skills that can be taught. So now that we have a list for reference, we have to prioritize these skills. So safety, we have to think about that first. Health, things that are age appropriate. What are they motivated to learn? We're going to talk about having that conversation with your teen or adult. Does it impact them so that they can integrate to the community more? Maybe it's a skill that they can learn so they can interact with their peers or siblings. Something that sometimes we forget about is teaching prerequisite skills. So if we're thinking about things like laundry, we have to learn how to sort and use a machine. And there's a lot of small skills within that multi-step life skill. We do want to focus on not overdoing things. So I want you to think of just one life skill so that you can have that in your mind while we're doing this presentation, so you can kind of walk through these steps with us. So just think of one life skill right now. So we want to plan with our teen or adult. So as a caregiver, a parent, a loved one, we're going to sit down and really plan this out. But we need to involve the teen or adult. And we want to have this as a conversation. We want to make them aware that this is coming. We don't want any surprises. We know that individuals with autism like predictability, like to know expectations. So we want to really let them know what's going on. Also, if it's something you have not been working on and you're going to make this big change, we need to let them know of this change to allow for some transition. Also, having this conversation allows them to give their input. What are their thoughts? What are their suggestions? Maybe they have ideas on what they want to work on. When I had my conversation with my brother, he asked, I would like to drive. And I said, it's a great goal, praising. There are certain steps that we need to get there. And we researched it. What are the steps in order to do that? You do have to pass a permit exam, but what do you have to do to pass a permit exam? You have to study, you have to identify road signs. So we really broke it down, and his feedback from that session is that he really liked it because I gave him the chance to give his input. It wasn't me telling him what to do. Also with the idea that you're treating them like an adult and not a child. So this is a two-way conversation. I brought up the point of getting feedback from him. So in order for him to be okay with feedback, we agreed that he can give me feedback. But I had to define and explain, what does feedback look like? So it is allowing this positive conversation because we want to keep a positive relationship with our loved one. Also share your experiences. So when I moved out from home for the first time, I was the one that put the red sock in the laundry and everything turned pink. And my brother laughed at that. And he did remember when that happened. And I said, everyone makes mistakes. Another mistake I did is I bought the detergent for the dishwasher, not the pods that are pre-sized, but I bought the one that you pour, and I put way too much, and my apartment had bubbles. So it's really sharing your experiences that I also went through this. I also had to learn, and it's okay if you make mistakes. So now that we've gone through the idea, planning, we need to focus on the strategies. And your teen and adult can do this process with you, especially doing some research, looking for these visuals, task analysis, because I always say technology is our friend. We just need to know how to use it. So before strategies, we do have to recognize that our world is structured. And sometimes, even myself, I forget about that. So if you have a loved one in school, they have a timetable that they have to follow. There's a start and an end time. There's even a bell, if they're in middle school and high school, that signals when they have to change classrooms. There's a syllabus that outlines everything in the class. There are rules and there are consequences. Same thing if they have therapy sessions. There's a start time, there might be a specific room they go in, a specific therapist. For my young adults that are working or volunteering, same thing with leisure and recreational activities. I don't show up to the movies just hoping that the Star Wars movie is starting as soon as I enter. I have to either go online or, I guess back in the day, call and see if my movie, what time the movie was. I had to buy a ticket. There are certain rules that you have to follow. And then visuals. Our whole world is surrounded by visuals. Again, I don't show up at an airport just hoping that the next plane going out takes me to my destination. Imagine going to the airport with no terminal numbers, no titles for the airlines. It would be a mess and no one would get to where they need to go. Same thing with grocery stores. I shop at my local Publix, but if I was somewhere else and I had to run in, I feel completely lost because it's not the same structure of the Publix next to my house. I have to use those visuals on the aisles to tell me what's there. Same thing with transportation. If they're using public transportation or for Broward, TOPS, or for Dade, STS, everything has a schedule, everything, there are visuals. So we wanna replicate those things at home. So I want you to think of that one life skill, and if you haven't, that's okay, I have a visual for you. So we're practicing what we preach. So these are all different types of life skills, and they can be something as complex as doing laundry, which is multiple steps, or maybe getting the mail. So something that really contributes to the household that helps at home. So now that you're thinking of that one life skill, we need to create some supports and then teach. So what supports are we gonna create or research? We're gonna look at some visual schedules, task analysis. What technology can we use? And we're gonna make sure that we're praising the appropriate behaviors and then giving feedback for any changes that need to happen. I love the tell, show, do, review model. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about that. But we do wanna model the task because sometimes you may have not seen laundry all the way through. I know with me, when I do laundry, it's in pieces. I don't think I ever sit down and do it from step 1 to step 10. So sometimes we have to model specifically what we are doing. Then explicitly step by step. So that's where modeling really helps because you'll realize all the little parts and pieces and components that it takes to achieve the goal of laundry. Then repetition and practice. We've always heard that practice makes perfect. This is really important that we continue to practice, that we continue to build so we can maintain these skills. So we're gonna talk about the tell, show, do, review. So we're telling or we're using a visual to let the teen or adult know what's going on, what task needs to happen. We're gonna show by either modeling it ourselves or using technology to model the task. We're gonna watch them do it, especially the first time, so we can see if they have any questions, if they get stuck, maybe something's not working. So the first time I tried to show my brother laundry, my dryer wasn't working, so we had to address that. And then I walked him through the steps on how I called maintenance, and I always take everything as a learning opportunity, and then we reviewed it together. So we have, again, that two-way conversation. And it's okay if you, for that conversation, if you use maybe worksheets or visuals, because I know everyone has a different level of communication. So there are different visuals, choice boards that can be used in this process. So talking about visual schedules, all different types, but we can start off with just a first then. Very simple, you're gonna do this first and then you get this. So the example that we have on the screen shows medicine and vitamins. So that's the first thing you're gonna do, and then after you do that, you can get your iPad for an X amount of time. Once we have that pairing, we can move on to multiple tasks. So this is where I really wanna focus that these visuals have to be individualized. So I always say, as a parent or caregiver, you know your loved one the best. So this is figuring out which would be best for them. The second visual shows chores today. So there's 4 different ones, and they are organized by morning, afternoon, and evening. So we're just looking at the morning, so that we're just adding little by little. We want to make sure we're not overwhelming our teen or adult. We want to make sure they're contacting success. So we want to start in small steps. For some of our loved ones, they are ready maybe for more tasks, and they could maybe move to a schedule like this. So sometimes, in order to help follow a schedule, make sure they're checking in, you might need to add a physical component to it. So the one that says at home has a picture of the task, and then they have to fold it close, and that green check mark is there. So that's a very good visual way for the teen and adult, and for you that maybe just walking by to see they did what they needed to do today. The next one is my daily responsibilities. So this breaks it up from morning to evening, where it begins in the morning, and when they're done, they have to bring it down to the bottom. All of these visuals I found online on various websites that we will share in the email when we send you the recording and the presentation, because don't reinvent the wheel. There's many visuals online. There's many different ones, even from Teachers Pay Teachers, that you can edit yourself so that you can really customize it to your loved one. Now, for some of our population, having a list very clear, just in black and white with check marks, can work really well. It's just a list. And then as time passes and you're adding skills, then you can change to what's called a weekly cleaning chart. So you can identify by day, different rooms, different tasks. And this is what we want to strive for, but not start off with. We want to start off small and then add skills over time. So this is my home visual schedule. So I actually did not find this on my own. My brother and I are a registered card family, so our card case manager found this for us. And it really helps because each day is color-coded. So we are the Roman Spanish family, because it's not just my brother on this calendar, it's also us. So we want to make sure that we included our chores as well. Not every single chore is on here, but we wanted to show him that he's not the only one doing this. We are all contributing to this household. So we did it color-coded. I also select rooms. I asked him, because cleaning the bathroom is his least favorite thing. So we wait for the weekend to do it. I also do tasks for the bathroom as well, so it's not just him. And he has a time limit. So we've been working on skills for a couple of years. So he is now at the point where I can put on the calendar on Saturday, May 16th, J, which is for Jose. He has to clean the toilet, the counter, the sink, and the mirror, and he has to do it by 3 p.m. So I do not bother him. I do not remind him at all until after. So I will go check. So anytime a task has been assigned to him, I always first physically check if the task is done before asking him, to give him the benefit of the doubt. I also have in my meeting with him that if he's not able to do one of the tasks, he needs to come to me. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a little bit. This type of visual also helps with the rest of your loved ones in a household. I have my fiance that sometimes forgets to throw away the trash. So we also put his task on the visual. So this really does help everyone in the household. Now, because for Jose, the bathroom is the most difficult place to clean, his reward on Saturdays, if you look on the bottom of the visual, it says menu, Jose gets to pick. If his chores are done by 3, he gets to pick what we eat. So on Saturdays, we used to eat out, and Jose got to pick that as long as he did those 4 tasks by 3 p.m., he got that big reward. We also have a little to-do list on there so he can remind me of the things I need to buy. So he really likes his mac and cheese. He throws away the trash sometimes too, so he lets me know when we have to buy new trash bags. He also loves using his Swiffer, so we have Swiffer pads on there as well. So other supports and task analysis. So a task analysis is really breaking down the task into smaller steps so that it's easier for the person to learn and follow through with this skill. So there's a couple of different examples here. And you can get very creative. And again, all of these are online. Do not reinvent the wheel. So if we look at
Sorry, everyone. I think Natalie may have had some internet issues. I am looking for her.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, there you are.
Which one did we leave off on?
With the task analysis with the Clorox.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate everybody's flexibility. I'm gonna share the screen again.
Yes, we're all maneuvering this new world. Perfect, right there.
Does she know she's on mute?
Oh, yeah, Natalie, you're on mute. Hold on. Thank you guys so much. There you are, Natalie. You're on mute.
Thank you. Okay.
Of course.
Here we go.
Hope you enjoyed your Wednesday.
So we have visual supports and task analysis. So task analysis is a breakdown of the components of the task so that it's easier for the individual to follow through and you can identify where they need help as well. So I adopted the idea of getting cleaning baskets. So I took Jose to the store, we bought baskets, he bought his own cleaning supplies, so he has his own set, and then we created a card just like you see here. So other task analysis can be for a specific task. So these are bathroom cleaning cards. So each card tells you how to clean each part of the bathroom. So focusing on the toilet, focusing on the bathtub, sweeping inside the toilet. So you can do a task analysis like this. Or there's even more detailed where the task is cleaning the bedroom and all the tasks have different steps. So making the bed, cleaning the floor, laundry, dusting surfaces, empty trash. There's all different types of task analysis. I suggest in this part of your planning is to involve your teen or adult, and you can show them what are the different types, which one do they like. Sometimes some of my teens or adults may like a photo and text, or maybe just photos, really want to individualize it to the person. You could also take pictures of yourself or your loved one doing the task. So it really shows that they can do this and they have done it in the past, and that you can include all the different details specific to your home. So another task analysis can be including time. So for the one that says how to clean my room, you can set a timer so they know exactly how much time they do have. This one says 20 minutes. And it gives it a challenge. Can you complete all 5 steps before the timer goes off? So we do want to make this fun. I know when I was a young teen, I did not like doing chores because it seemed very boring. So we want to make it creative. So this is actually posted on the bedroom of this example. They can make check marks, and it says, you know, if needed, vacuum and mop, mom can help with this. So it's really addressing time, what do I need to do, and if I need help, you know, I can go to mom. So really identifying who it is that I need to go to for help. And then for some of our individuals, it may be very easy to just do a list. This one says how to clean the kitchen. So it color codes it, which is nice. Wipe down the counter. It tells you what you need to clean the microwave, what you need to empty the trash. So it's really trying to find what's best for your teen or adult. Use technology. So I know technology sometimes gives us a little trouble. So at the beginning, it was hard to get my brother off of his video games and to start helping out around the house and contributing and doing chores and really working on life skills. So I really use that. So using his Switch, using YouTube. A lot of my teens and adults spend lots of time on YouTube. So use it as a teaching tool. There's actually lots of different channels that you can subscribe to that already do this, that create a task analysis. So there's actually one that's called Dad, How Do I? And this is a dad that started a channel that walks you through all these different tasks, and even things like how to change a light bulb, how to unclog a sink. So it's already done for you. You don't have to do it. So really using YouTube as a teaching tool. There's also different timers. So you could do something visual with lights. If you know that your loved one really responds to auditory and visual reminders. There's also the big movement of home devices. So in my home, and I hope she doesn't go off right now, Alexa has been a big part of our life skills because I don't nag him anymore. Alexa does. So we set reminders and she speaks throughout the home. She sends a reminder to his phone. So I'm not the one constantly saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. She's the second reminder. This also works really well with the other loved ones in your home. There's also a device called the Yacker Tracker that has been used in ICUs for nurses so that they keep their chatting volume down and letting them know when maybe their volume, their decibel level was increasing to make sure they're being respectful of the patients. So this is this is technology. It's a device that you can have in your home if maybe one of the skills that they need to learn is learning different voice levels, like an inside voice. This uses visual and auditory, where you can give feedback on a person's volume level without having to tell them you're set. So that's great.
Austin, do keyboarding.
Also using your smartphones, tablets, the Google Play Store, the App Store have many different apps where you can create calendars and reminders. Some apps even have videos on how you do different skills. So again, don't reinvent the wheel, it's out there. And one really important one that we use in our home when we started life skills is recording Jose doing the skills, because I always commend all parents on when they start this process and what they do, because it is a lot. And then me as a sibling, I have run into some difficulties where he will tell me, you know, you're not mom, you're not dad, stop telling me what to do. So when I would give him feedback that, you know, next time you need to do this a little better, or especially with the toilet, we got to scrub maybe 2 more times the next time you do this. He was saying he wasn't believing me. And I said, that's okay. I think what we can do is record you doing it. And then that way you can see what you did right and then what you need to work on. And that really helped us in our relationship, because it wasn't a she said, he said thing. So I want to go back to the modeling. So I'm going to read here that modeling is an evidence-based practice, and it's found to be effective for helping individuals with autism spectrum disorder. So it's really walking through the task, showing them each individual step. So it's important before you do this is that you prepare for the task. So make sure you have all materials, that you try to limit some distractions or go in a separate room where the materials are available. You're going to explain what you're going to do before you do it and why. So another important part is the reason why we do this. Why do we wash dishes? We wash dishes to have clean dishes to eat on. Why do we wash our clothes? Why do we do the laundry? To have clean clothes. Sometimes when I go back to those very basic explanations of this is what happens after you do this task, it really helps motivate Jose. So how I start is I make sure I have all my materials and I do the task from beginning to end. Then I ask him, do you have any questions or suggestions? So sometimes Jose has in the past realized faster ways to do things because he wants to be efficient. He wants his prize, he wants his reward. So sometimes he's actually showed me how to do things a little bit quicker or easier because he can see he has a different perspective. So it's nice to be able to have those conversations together. I also narrate a lot that I'm doing, especially when I'm cooking, because that's a skill we're working on right now. So I'll say, okay, now I'm boiling the water, I'm turning the knob to high, and I'm gonna make sure that I turn the pot handle toward the inside of the stove so that nobody accidentally knocks it over. So I really talk about everything I'm doing to make sure that he's not missing anything. So that we're showing in two different ways. So we're modeling, so actually showing, but also auditory as well. Jose does like to hear and see things, and it helps him retain information. And we want to make sure that we're repeating this. We also want to provide feedback and have an open discussion. This visual that says "see it from the other side" was actually found by Jose to help explain his frustrations to me. So the green character says it's a 9, and the blue character says it's a 6. Who's right? They're both right, but it's from their perspective. So we really have to think about that their perspective, you know, how are they seeing this? We want to make it a two-way conversation, addressing the facts and observations. So this is when I pull out the video that we take of him doing the task. I try to give him feedback as soon as possible. So I did ask him, what do you prefer? Do you prefer for me to do it right then and there? Or do you prefer when we have our discussions about chores? He does prefer right then and there because he tends to forget after it happens. It's been a little bit better now with the video because I can actually show him. So you may want to take that into consideration. You do want to use a sandwich approach because, and I think for anybody that's given feedback, if it's all negative, you don't feel good about yourself and you're not very motivated to change. So we do want to do this sandwich approach where we're starting with positive feedback, that we're starting with, you know, I appreciate you trying. I appreciate that, you know, you started the task, or I'm proud of you for doing this. Then give the constructive feedback. You know, this is great that you started. Next time, do this. So you want to make it constructive, something that's not completely negative. And then end on a positive note. You know, I really like how you're on top of your schedule, or that you're being so helpful and I really see a difference. You want to make sure we're ending on a positive note. Also, this is our open discussion to allow us to rework anything, review what's going on. So this is where Jose has told me, can we try this? And if it's feasible, we do it. Or he looks for a new cleaning product, which I'll show you guys in a little bit, and he's like, I want to try this. And if it's okay and it's within the budget, we can try it. He really advocated for his Swiffer and his Swiffer wet jet, and he never misses anytime he has to sweep with his Swiffer or when he mops, because he enjoys it. And it was something that he chose. He chose his cleaning tool. So it was something nice that he enjoys. You want to make sure we're praising and rewarding. So we try to do this rule of thumb where it's, if we do give a criticism, we try to give at least 3 praises. You have to really reward the appropriate behavior. We really want to show them this is what I want to see. We don't want it to all be negative. We want to be consistent and genuine. Really important about the genuine. I can't say, oh, you did such a good job today. Like, I really have to make sure he knows my appreciation, how proud I am of him for what he's doing, because it's not easy. And I always tell him, I want him to be the most independent man he can be, because one day I'm not going to be here anymore. And I want to make sure that I've left him with enough skills, or the skills to ask for help if he needs it. So I know that not all of us can teach all of these skills, and that's okay. But I want to be able to create systems and create visuals and structure so that when I'm not here, he can use that structure to learn new things without requiring myself. So for the praise, we don't want to wear it out. So good job, I always take out of my language of my repertoire because it has no power with Jose. You tell him good job, he's kind of like, nah, okay. We really have to label the praise. So label this skill. You know, you did such a good job about scrubbing the toilet. I don't know how many times I said that because Jose really struggles with that. I mean, who wants to clean the toilet? There's 3 people in this household, so we have to clean the toilet with 2 men. So we really do clean the toilet really often. So I really had to think of ways, you know, it was great scrubbing the toilet. I'm proud of you. Like, look, it's shining. It's bright. It smells great. I really had to praise it because I knew it was difficult for him to do. Also, describing that specific behavior. I think that's also the key. So we want to label the skill that they're doing and then the behavior. So an example could be, I appreciate you following your schedule and cleaning the shower. So the behavior, checking the schedule and cleaning the shower. And then you can say, I'm proud of you, that I'm proud you asked for help when you needed it. Also praising when asking for help. It's a very difficult skill. We offer a group for adults, a social group for adults, and one time I asked them, you know, who thinks it's a good idea to ask for help? And out of 30 adults, maybe 3 to 5 people raise their hands. Sometimes our loved ones are afraid to ask for help because they have this history in the past, especially in school, of maybe receiving some bullying or getting made fun of, or maybe their question wasn't answered. So then it has deterred them from asking for help. So I really praise Jose when he asks for help, or he tells me, you know, I don't have what I need to do my chore. Also just praise for the small achievement. So starting. When we first started this, I had to praise him for waking up early. Now we assume that everybody should be able to wake up on their own, right? But it was a skill that we really had to target, especially for his long-term goal of working. So even though it is an everyday skill, I really had to show him that I was proud and how much more he could do in the day because he was waking up at 9 and not waking up at 1 in the afternoon. You also want to use interest as reward. So Jose is a big gamer, very big into Nintendo, so lots of his rewards were related to that. A lot of his visuals used pictures from those characters in his games. Also, there's a visual here of examples. So there's one that says, you know, homemade cookies, staying up past your bedtime, having a movie night, extra time, maybe for the TV, computer, dinner of your choice. There's one here that says hour of alone time with mom and dad. So my parents used to use that as a reward for him when we were little because I had spent a lot of time with my parents, so he really wanted that one-on-one time. But when it was time to be in my household, I rewarded him with no Natalie time. So he wanted free time all to himself. So that was one guaranteed hour where I did not bother him. I did not nag him. I didn't remind him of everything. And that seemed to be very rewarding. So he really strived for that reward. Now we spoke about some strategies. We need to make sure that we take some other things into consideration when we want to strive for success. So sensory difficulties. So individuals on the autism spectrum may have some sensory difficulties. So when we first, so these are pictures of Jose doing his chores. When we first started with vacuuming, he was very defiant. He didn't want to do it. And I had a really hard time. And then one day I was just over it and I said, why? Why don't you want to vacuum? And he was like, it's too loud. The vacuum you have is too loud. So I have carpet in my bedroom, so we have a very heavy duty carpet vacuum. It was just too loud, very uncomfortable with him. He didn't want to do it. And I said, okay, we're going to look at the budget and I'm going to buy you your own vacuum. So he chose that vacuum there, which is very small, not heavy duty, great for tile, even has a detachable piece, and he started vacuuming. It still was a little loud, so we got him his headphones. So now he's comfortable with vacuuming using his headphones. So sometimes it's not just the non-compliance or refusal of doing the task, we have to think about these other areas. Maybe it's affecting sensory. Also with touch, this is him scrubbing the toilet, one of his most hated chores, but he's doing it. He does wear gloves. He does not want to get his hands wet or have the touch or to touch anything. And he also was wearing a mask. So when all this happened, we had lots of masks because Jose has his own stash of masks, because I think anybody doesn't really like the smell of bleach or all these cleaners. He also would describe it to me as a taste. So the mask does help with the smell and potentially sort of like tasting bleach. So that really has helped. Things like washing the dishes, we've gotten gloves for him, reusable gloves. So that way he doesn't have to touch the wet food. That's also one of my pet peeves. So I had these nice pink hot gloves that I said, oh, you could use these. And he was like, no, I want my own. And I said, that's okay. We can go shopping for your own gloves. Also, when he has to take out the trash, he doesn't like to do it on hot days, but sometimes we need to because it smells and we need the trash to be empty. So sometimes wearing sunglasses, or he might even change his clothes so it's something a little bit more light so that he can complete his task. So I just want to make sure with that life skill that you were thinking of, is there any sensory maybe difficulties related to that life skill? Also, we all have things that make our lives much easier. So in the middle, there looks like an angry person. It's called, I believe it's Hot Mama, Angry Mama. And it's changed the way that I clean my microwave. You put water in it, you turn on your microwave, it steams it, and then you just wipe it clean. Super simple. Jose loves to do it. Also, things like cleaning the shower. If you were to do it with just a scrub brush, it takes a long time. You can't get to the top. So things like extenders for dusting the shower, squeegees. You try to be a little bit conscious of what, how much paper towels we're buying. So the squeegee was great. Jose loves it because it's fun, it's different. Also got him a scrub brush that has soap in it. So I want you to think, take a moment and think of the things that you have purchased to make your daily task easier, because that might help your teen or adult start working on that skill. Also, understanding emotions. So all of us have good and bad days. And if I have a bad day and I ask Jose to do a chore, it might be difficult. So we did, with our card case manager, started looking at different 5-point scales. So this has a number scale. You can see there's photos, so to help identify emotions. So what your face would look like, what it feels like, and then what you can do. So what I really like this visual for, because it's an identification, feeling, and then what can I do? Because we're not just gonna stop that I'm feeling like my head's exploding. We need to do something. So find a quiet place, ask for help, positive self-talk. You can customize this and individualize it to your loved one. This is just a really good example. But with this, now he has the language to say, I'm at a 3, but I start feeling at a 4. So then I can ask him, which brings us to our next slide, for a break. When we first started life skills, we called these brain breaks because he felt too overwhelmed, too frustrated. So I coined brain break for him. So that was great because it really was talking about, I'm gonna give my brain a break. It was working too hard, it was overloading it. So for a break, I think we do have to be detailed. Where, when, how long, what can I do, what did I not do? I did put on the breaks that he couldn't play PS4 or his Switch, that, he could do some deep breathing, he could go in the room, he could do this, he could do that. So I really had to let him know, and that he had to return to his task. So this is not an escape for the task. I'm gonna go on a break and it's over. Sometimes I had to limit breaks when we first introduced them because he said, oh, I'm gonna take a break, I'm gonna take a break, I'm gonna take a break. So I said, for this task, you have 2 breaks and that's it. Once you use 2, it's over. And I had to make a visual for that. And there's many available online. So you just wanna make sure that you're also using the scale or any visuals that help identify emotions and those coping strategies. Also, how to ask for help. So explicit instructions. We don't want to assume you know how to ask for help with this different setting or different scenario. So I had to write a script. This is how you ask for help. In the script, it said, we're not going to yell or scream for help. If you're missing something, you need to let me know. So if we were running low on the bleach spray he needed for the toilet, he needed to let me know. Also, we need multiple methods. So we're all at home now, so most of this is in person, but when I was working and he was home and he knows that I had, you know, some meetings or trainings I needed to do, we had email as an option. So I had to show him how to do that and then what, like a script. How do we write this email? How do we do a text? Can I call you? So we really want to practice that role play and practice. Also, how to interrupt and wait. So sometimes I was on a phone call while he was doing his chores and he was just kind of saying, I need help, I need help, I need help. And I said, well, you need to wait because I'm on the phone. So really practicing that. Also, if I was having a conversation with someone in my home, then actually, you know, saying, excuse me, stating what they need help. Also understanding, is it something I need right now because I can't do the task, or is it depending on the level? We also want to make it fun. Chores have been known to be boring, but if we make it a family or group effort, we're all doing chores. So in my home, we all do chores. Everybody is on that visual schedule. Everybody's working to increase their independence. And we want to have those stories. So I always tell my brother about how I turned the laundry pink, and I had a lot of pink stuff for a long time. So just make it fun, make it silly. It looks like this father and daughter are kind of listening to music, using an air guitar for cleaning. So make it fun. You could do chore games, make it a competition, you know, if there's siblings in a household, or can you be, you know, if mom and dad are doing chores, can you do yours faster than mom and dad? Use music, use technology, really doing it together. So I found these online. So there's chores bingo. You know, if you get bingo first, we can do a special prize for today. Or I know chore wheels are not always everyone's favorite, but this is nice because it shows that everybody is doing something and you can individualize it to what you do in your home. And just make sure that you have support as well. So I always say, for myself, it can get overwhelming. You know, I'm balancing many things, and this is one other thing we have to do. So just make time to do positive, to be around positive people, experience interactions, especially right now, using technology like we're doing now for this training, but have FaceTime calls, video calls, call your loved ones. Make sure you're not, you know, in guilt or blaming yourself. This is a process. It's a trial and error. We always say it gets worse before it gets better, because this is change, especially if it wasn't something you were working on prior. This is a big step. So just know that there's going to be some roadblocks, but that's okay. For your teen and adult, for a lot of our individuals on the spectrum, they may have high anxiety, depression, maybe some issues with attention, or have a lot of, may perseverate a lot of their thoughts. So sometimes we're going to need some professional help in order to address these things. So really thinking about having a therapist, or even behavior therapist, ABA therapy. A lot of their skills go into task analysis, visuals, helping with motivation, following through on task, and life coaches as well. So there's a couple of companies that do provide some telehealth life coaching that can help you create systems, create visuals, and really monitor what's going on, speaking to your teen or adult, and then you as well. So that is the end of my presentation. Please, if you are registered with CARD and it's something that you want to take on, really targeting these life skills, since we are home, please make sure you reach out to us so that we can get you with your assigned case manager to offer some assistance, some recommendations. Also, we have a link tree. I also really want to point out a group that we have. It's called Drop-In Behavioral Consultation. They happen every Friday. So these are two of our UM-NSU CARD staff. So it's Dr. Leon and Dr. Gutierrez, who are both both have PhDs and are both doctoral level board certified behavior analysts. So during these sessions, one is between 7 and 9 and the other is 2 and 4. You can drop in, maybe ask, some questions. If you're starting to do some life skills, they can consult. So definitely we'll send this in the email as well. It's happening this Friday, May 22nd. So now I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.